Well, this is a great way to start the week talking about one of my favorite topics is open houses and showcases and how to maximize our efforts. How many would like to know the secret to a successful open house today? Yes. So what is the secret to a successful open house today? I guess is the number one thing I want to talk about, because the line of questionings we're going to go through, we're going to talk about the best questions or what has been the most effective questions to ask for me, because everybody knows that a few years ago I put all my focus, or a lot of you know this, I put all my focus into one thing and making one thing work right for me. I forgot that there was any other opportunity in the villages. There's no rotation for me, there's no phone duty, there's no LPPs, there is nothing but this. And when you take away everything but one thing, you're going to perfect this one thing. And you're going to perfect that by practicing over and over and over again. So we're going to go through those questions today, and we're going to open the floor and let others ask questions and even talk about what they do in open houses and showcases. But the first thing we need to talk about before we go into those open houses and showcases is our mindset. What are we thinking about when we walk into that open house and showcase? How many have an open house or showcase today? For those of you that have one, if you take away anything from this today that you felt was helpful for you during your time frame that you were there, would you please email me this afternoon? So that would be helpful for me. But talking about your mindset, when you pull up to your open house and showcase, what are you thinking about? That's a good question, isn't it? What is going on in our personal lives? What is going on the rest of the day? How prepared are we for that open house and showcase? Because your success is up to you. There's no magical questions that's going to make you more productive. Unless your mindset is in the right place. So think about your mindset before you walk into that open house and showcase to maximize your efforts. So I thought about my mindset, and I look back many years, that even back to the year 2007, I learned then with what all was going on in life that I had to become very focused on my priorities that were in front of me at that moment, because I had a living to make. We all have a living to make. And there was a lot of things going on in my life during that time frame. I remember in March of 2007, I received a phone call. And those who have daughters, and you get a phone call like this, kindly in the middle of for me it's the middle of the night because I go to bed early, get a call in the middle of the evening, and my daughter Megan, my beautiful little Megan, called. And we were going on vacation the very next week for a week. It was spring break coming up. We were going on vacation, but she calls, and she was at her dad's, and she says, "Mom," and we all know that mom, that deep mom, it just like, wow, what's going on? She said, "Mom, I took 3 pregnancy tests, and they were positive, but I don't believe it. And my daughter's 16. What did Mom say?" Don't worry about a thing. Don't worry about a thing. Let's get a plan. My attitude for everything in life is let's get a plan. My kids will role play that, while we're on vacation or something. We'll be talking about something, they'll say, let's get a plan. My attitude for everything is I'm stronger than my circumstances. Let's get a plan. We've identified the problem. Now we're going to work towards the solution. And so I learned during that time frame that I had to be stronger than my circumstances, no matter what was going on. Everybody that was in the real estate market in 2007, if you were in the world I was in, the real estate market was beginning to slow significantly. I mean, the train was just barely moving. But by 2008, it had stopped altogether. Come to a screeching halt. And this time frame, it was like watching a big cloud coming off in the distance, and the cloud was growing darker and darker all the time, to the point it was turning into an F5 tornado, and it was coming right for you, and you had no shelter around you to run to. And I wasn't the only one that felt like this, because during that period I had lakefront developments listed, I had condo developments listed, I had cabin resorts listed, and all developers were saying the same thing. Somebody save us. Somebody save us. So we were all feeling the same thing. And during that time frame, I was even saying the same thing. What am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this? Because this little girl was over $2 million in debt herself. That was not including my house payment. That was not including my car payments. That was not including supporting my children. And I had payroll to pay. Wow. Those were some very trying times. But again, I learned I am stronger than my circumstances. I will prevail. Somehow or another, I will prevail. So what did I do? I created something that was very helpful for me of a morning, because I would write down my life struggles, all the problems I had. I would write them down and I would put them on a piece of paper, and then I would put them on and in this box. Can everybody read this? It's called the worry box. The worry box. So it's a rather big worry box. My worries were quite large. But I put my problems in this box. I prioritized my day, and I went out because I had to make a living. But I also, when I would write out my worries, I took off of those worries what I could control, what I needed to do, and what I must do. And the rest went in here, and I went out and I tackled my day. So in thinking about what I must do, there's things I should do today, and maybe they don't all get done. And there's the things you must do today. So I took that must-do list and I looked at all my problems from that must-do list, and I thought, okay, you know, here's the problem. I can't stick my head in the sand. I have to liquidate this property. So I have to call the auctioneers, because I've got to get rid of it, because every 90 days I owed over $30,000 to the bank in interest. Every 90 days, and I didn't miss a payment. But I had to liquidate some properties. I had to make payroll, so I had to have money coming in, and I had to support my children. So those were some very trying times, but I did get through those times. But what did I feel like during that time? How many remember the movie Castaway? How many remember the scene of Tom Hanks when he made his little boat, and he's barely got his head above water, and he's screaming, "Wilson!" Everybody remember that scene in that movie? That is what I felt like. I felt like I didn't have nothing in my life but Wilson. And so I carried Wilson with me quite some time during that period. And I even thought about, you know, there was days you felt like you were a victim of the circumstances, but you had to prioritize everything. No, I'm a survivor of these circumstances. I will prevail. I will overcome this. Roll on into 2009, I had someone call me, and they were really down on their luck, and they needed a financial helping hand up. And I remember being in her position to the point that it was even hard to put groceries on the table, you know. And I was there in 1992, and I remember being where she was at, so I was very glad to step up to the plate and help what I could for this period of her life. But I got to thinking about a statement she made during one of our conversations. I got to thinking about a statement she made, and she said, "Everything just seems to come so easy for you." Yeah, everything seems to come so easy for you. And so I thought about that a minute, and I almost felt guilty, being the type of person I am, for what I did have in life, for what she thought to be what my world looked like compared to what her world looked like. And then I thought about it a minute, and I thought about how I ran my life, and I thought about how I looked at life. I thought about how my work ethic was and my discipline was, and I thought about hers. I always choose the route of, I'm going to survive this, I'm going to overcome this, I'm going to get through this, I am stronger than my circumstances. She always had the attitude of, I'm always a victim. You know, somebody saved me. You know, so you see how important your mindset is and the difference of the two people. You have to really protect your mindset no matter what's going on in life. And so it was that type mindset that has made my success to the point it was today and brought me to where I'm standing here today. Now, is it easy to have that type mindset all the time? No, it's not easy. And have I always had it? No, we all have our days. We all hit our walls, do we not? And it was even last fall. I hit a wall of my own, and I was like, wow, and it was pretty hard. I hit this wall. It was back in November. I hit this wall, and I thought, and my mindset was not the greatest in the world. Kind of had a little bit of an attitude, and I needed to work on that. And I am thankful for those friends that notice this and they call you out on this. Like, hey, that's what we are all supposed to do. We're supposed to call each other out on this. And I am thankful for the friend that called me out on this today. Bob DeBellis. He called me out, and you know what he said? I was kind of angry at the moment, but then I got over it rather quickly. I knew he was a real friend. If you're not going to participate in this friendship, don't even sit with us at the table. Woke me up, made me really think about a lot of things. And it changed me completely that day, and Bob has been my mentor since then, and I thank you, Bob, for doing that for me.
2 ways.
And by the way, happy birthday. I love you, my friend.
Thank you. I think it's the first birthday I've ever worked.
That's an easy way to get rid of your problems,
Yes. So talking about protecting your mindset again, and when I was preparing for this class last week, I thought about, I need a prop. I will need a prop. So I did the worry box. That was good, but I wasn't satisfied with that. So I went to Walmart when I was thinking about Castaway and thought, I will purchase Wilson. I will purchase Wilson as my prop too as well. But the more I stood there and I looked at Wilson, I thought Wilson had some really tough days. Wilson represented living on an island. God did not intend on us to live on an island. No, God intended us to live in a community and helping each other. Didn't he, Lenny? So I could not purchase Wilson. I could not take Wilson out with me because I had lived with the Wilson too long. And Bob recognized that I was relying on my Wilson last fall quite a bit. And I had retreated back to my little corner and I was facing whatever was going on alone. So I could not walk out with Wilson. So what I did do is I walked out with Franklin. Why did I walk out with a Franklin rather than a Wilson? It's like they're still the same ball, you know. I am building a house in Franklin, Tennessee. I am building a house in Franklin, Tennessee. So what does Franklin represent now? Exactly. A vision, a purpose, new beginnings. Sky is the limit, you know, all the things. It also represents the unknown. It's a little scary out there, but I'm ready to face it. But it represents a bright future. You know, it represents fruits of my labor because, you know, we've all worked hard, and I've worked hard the last few years, and now I'm going to be able to go to Franklin and build that home up there that my family and I are going to share. And that's a rendering of it right there. So yeah, Franklin represents a lot of things. But I just ask, Lanny, I want you to hold me accountable here because accountability partners are important. If I ever text you a picture, or Bob, where I've drawn a face on Franklin.
I'm coming to see you.
Exactly. Get in the car and come see me because something's not quite right. So if you protect your mindset and think about your issues and set them aside for this 2-hour time frame, you'll be more productive. You will be able to focus on what I call the 3 Ps. And this is worth writing down, guys. Prepare, perform, and perfect. How do I prepare for my open houses and showcase before I walk in? What was my performance, and how can I perfect that? Prepare, perform, perfect. That is the second key to your success, to having a successful open house and showcase. So if you prepare for your open house before you get there, and you look back at what you did during that open house and the questions that you ask, and look back, what results did I get from that, and you step back and you practice your open house, practice your presentation. Because if you practice your presentation, you will perfect the process and you will be more productive. Amen? That's a lot of P's. Maybe I should write them on the board. But yeah, I thought about that. There's a lot of P's there. So how do I prepare for my open houses is, I guess, the question. Would somebody like to volunteer before I go into it? Lenny, how do you prepare for your open house?
I actually put normally about 2 hours before I get to a showcase. I do mine different than you, which is so beautiful because you're successful in yours and mine works for me. I actually print the masters and I go and highlight the lowest price of every model in that. If I'm doing a designer home, I do that. I go to the sales mapping so I know that the showcase that I'm in, I want to know what the other houses are around me. I want to know when somebody says, what's that across the street? The worst words I want to come out of my mouth is, I don't know. Now, if I don't know, I'm going to say I don't know, but I'm rarely in a I don't know position. And, you know, I put out my floor plans, so I make copies of the floor plans if I don't have them already. I take my little tent cards, I call them, I take my business cards, and I write the lowest price down that I've just looked up, and I put them on the floor plan, so when somebody comes in, I have one word for what all that is. It's called quicksand. It stops their feet. They will stop, they'll see that little presentation, well, it's not quite so little sometimes, and then they're going to say, oh my gosh, I've been in 10 showcases and nobody does this. I've gained trust just when they walked in the door. Now they're more honest about some of their answers that I ask. Instead of running blocker for anything I'm asking, they say, hey, he put all this time in, I want to talk to this person. That's so I put, and then everybody knows my blower. I use a blower. I blow out the driveway, blow out the garage, the lanai. I got a lead one time from a guy 4 houses down because he heard it and came down and said, I've been here 8 years. I've never seen a realtor blow out a garage. I want to take one of your cars. But that's my showtime and my mindset. If I can just add this, I don't think there's any other place that in 2 hours I can see as many people as I can in the showcase.
Amen.
So that's my stage for 2 hours, and it now represents 80% of my income.
There you go. See, guys, there's something that everybody's going to do it differently, and that works for Lenny. You are on stage. This is a performance. What do you want the end to be? What do you want it to look like? So, but yeah, that works for Lenny. But if you just get in a habit of looking at your inventory every day, you might be able to just spend maybe 10 to 20 minutes looking at your available inventory before you walk into that open house or showcase. If you're in a showcase, why not have a few hot homes in the back of your mind? And you don't necessarily have to have them in the back of your mind. You can quickly, of a morning, look at the like-kind homes or similar price points. You can even email yourself, oh, that home would be great. Email yourself those homes that would be similar to give you talking tools. So you don't have to remember everything, just email it to yourself. But be prepared for your open houses. Do not just, and I've done it, guys, do not just print, you know, the photo of that home and maybe the home site and let that be it, and you put your little notepads out there. Do a little bit research, new and pre-owned homes before you walk in that open house and showcase, and you will increase your results. But have your mindset, have your vision and your purpose in front of you. Have the attitude, I am going to walk out of here with at least 2 quality leads today. That is always my goal, is to walk out with at least 2 quality leads today. In the wintertime, I have a bigger goal than that, and we're going to talk about those goals too. But be prepared to ask open-ended questions. I think that is what everybody's most interested in is what kind of questions? How do you get the leads? I have had this asked more than once. How do you open up the conversation? How do you get them talking to you? Would anybody like to explain how they do that before I start? Well, I'm going to go into a little bit of role play with 3 different type scenarios of buyers: the permanent residents, the part-time resident, and the renter. Is that not the majority of people that walk into your home? Yeah. So let's take the permanent resident right quick. Okay, if I'm thinking about a permanent resident and they're walking in my open house and showcase, you're of course going to greet them. You're going to give them their space. You're going to have yours. You're going to ask them, do you live here in the villages? Are you here full-time or part-time? What village do you live in? If you could change anything about your home, what would it be? Now you're going after the dissatisfaction. Or what would be the one thing you would change about your home if you could? I go into, what are the upgrades that are in your home? And you start writing that down right then. That shows you're listening. You write that down. Well, if you were to think about purchasing another home, would you choose the same floor plan again? You're trying to go down a layer deep and trying to find their dissatisfaction and what they like in the floor plans in a future purchase. So you can do several things right here. So when I get into talking about what type of home they would buy, I get into the perfect world scenario and I start asking those questions. When you're thinking about making another purchase, would you want to purchase a pre-owned home, a new home, or are you thinking about the option of building a home? And depending on their answers, where I take it from there. If they want to stay in their neighborhood, then we talk about that a little bit more and the why they want to stay in their neighborhood and the benefits of staying in their neighborhood. If they're thinking about a new home, I talk about the benefits of buying one of the closeout homes with a 4% incentive, but yet comparing that closeout home to a home site where they could pick everything out and build the home and to their taste and their satisfaction. If they're going to talk about building the home, then I'm going to go into talking about the perfect world. In a perfect world, what color cabinets would you want? Would you want tile or carpet in the living room? Would you want a built-in oven, under cabinet lighting? I talk about the lanai. How much time do you spend out on the lanai? Because that's going to dictate how I do my research for them. Because I want to sell them the right home, not just a home. I even ask questions about what type of car they drive, what type of SUV they might drive. That's important. Do they have a workshop in the garage that they have? Because that will determine whether I want to look for a home with a 2-foot forward stretch, because I want to find them the right home, guys. So there's all sorts of questions you can ask. You can ask about getting all the information about their current home and write that down, and you can figure out by asking their upgrades what their dissatisfaction is. Now you've got that, and you talk about the future purchase, you have that, and then you're going to offer to do some research for them. You're going to, one, offer to set an appointment with them, but I normally take a different route for me because I like to do my research before I get with them again. But if you can set an appointment with them, set an appointment right then. That's probably the best way to do that. But I am going to do my research and I'm going to tell them I'm going to be sending you 3 separate emails, 3 different titles. One's going to be new homes, one's going to be pre-owned homes, and one's going to be the option of building what you could expect the cost thereof according to the floor plan that you like. And I am going to put them in 3 separate emails. I'm going to email them pre-owned homes like kind that has sold in the last 6 months because they can kindly see how many days they were on the market. If they're not ready for me to come in my home, all they're interested in is bottom line. What am I going to get out of my home? What am I going to be spending to get another home? So it does take time to put this extra together. It takes quite a bit of time, but it's worth it. What did I learn by doing all of that, too, that I could use in my next open house and showcase? And so when you're talking about the part-time resident, they probably a lot of times have a smaller home, and are they upgrading to a bigger home? What is their biggest satisfaction? You need to determine that. Go ahead, Pete.
I don't mean to interrupt you. However, what you just did was you set your mind to the fact that this person lives here full time. And the reason they're standing in front of you, there's a reason they're standing in front of you.
Exactly.
And so you're not thinking, are they interested in buying something different? You're not second guessing yourself. You're saying, they're here for a reason, so I'm going to go through my process with them
Exactly.
if they're looking to buy a different home. Not, I wonder if they are or not. Are they just looky-loos? Are they just nosy neighbors? No. Your mindset is, boom, these people are here for a reason. That's probably one of the best parts of what you just got done doing.
That is the key right there. Everybody in front of me is a buyer until they prove me differently.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to continue to ask those questions until they start walking toward the door. And I'm going to continue to ask that question. There was an agent came to me Friday, and she said after our session on Thursday, she was in a showcase, and she said, I had engaged with a couple, and they still had not given me their information. They were a little standoffish. She said, I could not get them to open up. They were walking toward the door, and she said the final question, because this question I ask all the time, what price point are you thinking? What price point are you wanting to stay in? She asked them, does this price point work for you? And he said, no, we're wanting to stay lower than this. He walked back from the front door with his wife and they start engaging. She hit his hot button, price point. They were in a home that was outside of their price point. It was the reason why they were walking toward the door. She figured out what it was. She got his email address and his contact information, and she was able to set an appointment. Comfort zone, guys. You have to step out of your comfort zone because so many people say this not me, it's not me. Make it you. Make it you. Ask these questions, and practice makes perfect.
The nosy neighbor argument that I hear all the time. I did a showcase yesterday, an open house yesterday that I also did one 2 days ago, same house, premier neighborhood. A guy walked in and said, listen, I just saw your flag, I live 2 houses down. That's a nosy neighbor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just want to see, I want to see Bill and Sally's inside the house, right? Wrong. He wants to build a pool and he doesn't have the right configuration in his house 2 houses down. Yesterday he came back with his wife to look at this one that has a pool, and they're weighing out the differences. They said, I know this is stupid, I'm going to probably move 3 houses on the same street. But he wasn't a nosy neighbor. He is dissatisfied with his house, and he's willing to move 2 houses to get what he wants. So don't assume they're just
Exactly.
nosy neighbors. He's unhappy about something, that's why he's walking in your house.
And that's the purpose, guys, for all the questions. When they first start engaging, it's easy for us to draw conclusions because we're quick thinkers. We're just like, oh, I've got the answer for this. But no, I ask question after question after question. Why do I do that? If there's any objectives that's going to come up, I want them to come up right now. I don't want to wait till I have them in my car and we're out there and all these objectives are coming up now. Then you have to go restart the work all over again. My time is valuable and so is yours. So if you ask these questions and you have open dialogue back and forth through email and phone conversations, by the time they are in your car and you're looking for that right home, it's going to shorten the process to the contract, you know. And so go ahead.
We have a lot of folks that come that are entertaining their company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they come to showcases and it's like, we live here and these are all of our relatives. How do you focus in on them at all?
I engage, but I don't personally. I mean, there's some people that do and probably get some business out of that, but I engage and talk about many different things and product and inventory and how would you feel about moving here, you know, because you can always tell that they're showing their friends around and they're trying to lead them to the water. And I always do ask, how's it going, them trying to convince you to moving to the villages. And so I do engage a little bit, but I'm focusing on more so on someone that's more of a wall hugger coming in, yeah, personally, if that's whether it's right or wrong. But if you're talking about the part-time resident, it's not hard to figure out their dissatisfaction by asking those same questions. If you were to think about moving, and the reason I put it that way, you're not standing so bold-faced in front of them. They're going to put up a wall. When you're thinking about moving to another home, what would you do differently than what you did in your current home? What's the most important feature to you in a new home? But you also ask those same questions, what are the upgrades you've done to your home? Because if you ask those same questions and things, you're going to get a CMA and you're going to get another listing out of it by just doing some fact digging there. But it's the renters that really, guys, you know, we're coming up in season coming up this fall and especially this winter. I sell a lot of renters. I ask renters a lot of questions. But even this time of year, there's renters out there around renting for 2 weeks to a month. I recently sold a renter. We recently closed. They were here for a month. They came into my sunflower open house and said, I asked them, do you guys live here or are you just visiting for a short period of time? We're here for a month. How many days have you been here? We have been here 3 days. 3 days and they're out in an open house and showcase. What is your favorite floor plan? Just getting to the point. Well, we like the sunflower the best. Why do you like the sunflower the best? As you notice, I'm just going, you know. So I'm going straight to the point. Why do you like the sunflower the best? Well, I like the fact of the floor plan and the breakfast nook. I like this, this, and this, and it fits our budget. So price is very important here. They're not looking at begonia because of price. They're looking at the sunflower because of price. I talk to them about homes that are on closeout. And I also ask, what would you consider building a home? Yes, we're going to look at that option too as well while we're here. But we have a home to sell in Pennsylvania first. They did not sell their home in Pennsylvania first. We sold them a home site first. So, but yes, I continued. I asked for the appointment. I said, will you guys have time tomorrow at 1 o'clock? I want to show you so that you would know what you could expect when you do sell your home in Pennsylvania, what you could expect in some of the sunflowers out there as far as pricing on some of our closeout homes, but I also want to show you a few home sites. And I did that in one appointment the next day at 1 o'clock. But yes, they get out of my car, they thank me. We looked at the homes, we looked at the home sites. They thanked me, and I said, now I'm going to have James to get in contact with you because you did say that you'd be financing a small portion of this even when you sold your home in Pennsylvania. I'm going to have James be getting in contact with you so you have that information with you too as well, so that when you do sell. Again, I'm giving them their rights. But if you have some time tomorrow, guys, I want to take you down. If you've got just 30 minutes, I want to take you down to the Design Center. So now I'm taking them to the Design Center. I wanted to close there so that they could see how easy the process was to build. I had 30 minutes. They had 30 minutes. They was eager to come. I took them into the Design Center, took them straight to the cabinets, picked out the laminate countertop, stood underneath the lights, went back to the vinyl flooring because vinyl flooring fit their price point again. And just in a matter of minutes, we had built a home. You know, and they saw how easy it was, and that relieved a lot of pressure for her too there. So on this was on a Friday. On Monday they called me and said, Angela, we really do like that home site you showed us. We reserved the home site. Did I stop there? No, we reserved the home site and we're ready to build in August. We set an August building date. When we announced the 4% incentive across the board, I started sending them those. They closed on a begonia, even though she said her perfect world, she did not want white cabinets. We have white cabinets. She overcame the white cabinets. It's like, because I called them enthusiasm, excitement. I said, guys, you have to go out and look at this home on Zephyr Hills. It's concrete. It's got a 3-foot extension lanai. It backs up to homes in cul-de-sacs. I know you said you didn't want white cabinets, but please just meet me there. They bought it. They closed in June. So, you know, just even though they've got homes to sell and it was a renter, but we talk about the winter renter right quick. You know, you've got these people, when you figure out they're here only a few months, you talk about the benefits of owning rather than renting. You talk about the rental income that's potential if they would ever think about renting it out when they're not here. You can just go through the same line of questions, but the point is the question, the why. Ask if you were purchasing a home, what price point you would want to stay in. If you're a winter renter, I always ask, what type home are you staying in now? If it's a courtyard villa or patio, I say, is that big enough for you? Is a 2-bedroom be okay, or do you want 3? Is the 1.5 car garage okay, or do you want 2? I keep digging and finding, you know, if you were to think about buying a home, what price point would you want to stay in? And then just in a few minutes you have their contact information, and just in a few days you have them in your car, and in just another day you have sold them a home.
And so in the wintertime when we have 50, 60 people coming into a showcase, what are you looking for to know who to engage?
What am I looking for? That's a good question. I am looking for those people that will talk back to me. If you're going to engage with me, if I ask a question, would you ever think about buying a home in the Villages or renting a home? You know, rather than renting a home, and they gauge, well, we have thought about it, but we're just not for sure yet, you know. My job is to get them all the information. My job is to talk about cost of living. My job is to talk about the bond. My job is to get them finance information should they ever decide to buy it, because it's all the things that they don't know. So I'm looking for that person that will actually engage back with me after I ask the question, would you ever consider owning a home in the Villages rather than renting? How hard is it to find a rental nowadays? I ask that all the time. How much time did you spend finding that rental, or have you stayed in the same one all these years? When you talk about how hard it is to find a rental, you've reached a little hot button with them there too, because they're tired of the search. You know, a lot of them, it's like, some even say it's worse than a job finding a home to rent in the Villages, you know. And so yes.
Kind of off that same note, and now that we're back building the suit, a lot of the open houses, or a lot of the showcases, I should say, not so much open houses, we're getting a lot of people that's already on land, he's working with somebody else, coming in, taking up our time. How do you get around that person to move on to the person that's there that you could actually work with and sell?
Well, this one is being recorded, but anyways, I'm going to do this anyways. Those type people, I do engage, and I'm very nice to them, and I do listen briefly, but I don't keep busy work around me anymore on my open houses and showcases, but for those type people, I will start my busy work a little bit because they're still talking to you, they're still taking your time, and there's a wall hugger coming in the room. And you hate to, you know, so I've got my busy work I will pull out for those circumstances, right or wrong. Is that okay, Bobby? And I get very busy for that moment. You know, how do you do it?
Kind of the same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, you're working with such and such, right? Yeah, they're great. You know, a lot of these answers that can be answered by that person. You know, if you have a particular one, I'll help you with that. But I've also got to talk to some of these other folks here.
Yep. And I want them to respect my time as much as I respect theirs, you know. So I will answer and engage if they have a specific question, but then I'll look back at, even if I'm not doing anything, I'll pretend I am.
Is it open question time or is it?
Yes.
Okay. The other day, actually it was like a day before yesterday, Jerry Olson's customer came to my open house and he walked in, you could tell they were on a mission. And they said things that I knew Jerry'd spent time with them. See, and he said something half jokingly, he wants me to build new, which I know is not true, but for whatever reason people get these things, and after he spent time with them, we talked about what he wanted. Obviously we were making some kind of a connection, you know, talking people along through an open house, but he said, if you can find me what I really want is this, which I knew just by knowing what I go through with my own customers, they must have not told Jerry, because he would have been showing them that if they had told him that. So he said, if you can find me this, then give me a call. And I emailed Jerry, I said, I don't feel right about that, because I'm sure you would have showed them that if you knew that. What do you do in those situations?
That is a very good question. You did the right thing. Jerry, was you able to connect with them?
I was off during the weekend. Wally gave me a call. But please, anybody that gets one of my customers, go ahead and sell them a property. Don't worry about Jerry Olson. Just go ahead and sell them something, okay? It's okay.
Yeah.
Please, go ahead and sell them something.
I dealt with that.
Thank you very much for sending it back to us, Leah. But continue that process. My goodness, they deserve that.
One of the problems that I have seen and had happened to me lately, in writing, I get a list of things I do not want, things I do want, and I'll take them out and show them that. Sometimes I'll deviate from that, and they end up buying something that everything on that list they checked they didn't want, they bought.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, so you have to be really cautious about listening too hard to what they say.
Exactly.
Because I've had 3 in writing, 2 pages, and starred, I don't want this, will not buy this, and ended up buying it.
I briefly look at their list and I continue on down the path.
You gotta just kinda.
I filter that. We just keep moving on.
You gotta deviate and see if they're really willing to deviate a little.
Yeah, Bobby Galati did a great job of teaching me that when I first got here, because I got too specific when they said I only want a begonia or a gardenia. And I knew the price point and the view, there was a lily that was perfect for them. And I would stick with a gardenia or a begonia. And Bobby said, Lenny, show them the lily. Okay? You go ahead and show it to them, because they don't know what they really want. They think they know what they want. So give them the other option. And so it really helped me, because I was losing business, I'm sure, because I was listening too hard to what they were saying. Because they don't know. They really don't know what they want sometimes. They don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
That's the gap. So give them something else that they'll know.
And your job is to educate them. Your job is to get to know the inventory. Your job first is to ask those open-ended questions and digging and ask why, and it actually gets them to communicating. One particular couple was in an open house with me, and they seemed to be just kind of just tire kicking, yes, for the lack of better words, but the longer we talked together, he had missed his pool, and I was in a home that was had a pool, and she's like, I didn't know you missed your pool. And at the end of the open house, or at the end of our conversation, they asked me if I would come by and look at their home. So they were just they said, oh, we're just kind of hanging out. We don't have anything else to do. It's raining outside. We just thought we'd come by and look. But it got them engaged, and it got me into their home a little bit later, and it got them talking together. So ask those open-ended questions between the two of them, and you can put a great plan together, but just asking what's important to them.
Those people that you run across that you can tell that they probably do need to sell or whatever, how do you stay in touch with them?
Notebook. Notebook, notebook, notebook. Oh, my notebooks. Everybody needs to keep a notebook. And the reason I say that is what happens when you're sitting so many hours on the AS400 and you're trying to keep a track of your customers. How do I stay in contact with them? I have notebooks, and I rewrite my notebooks every 90 days. I rip out every single page and I rewrite them. What does that do? It puts them back to memory, and it's hard to keep up with everybody, once you've met several people. But I create notebooks for different seasons, and then I tear them out. If it's January, I've done January, February, and March. End of March, I'm tearing all those out and I'm rewriting them in a different notebook, and I'm creating a short list of who I need to contact. Ooh, maybe I need to get back with these folks again. Your notebooks is very powerful. But if there's a lot of ink on the notebook, one agent said last week the biggest thing he got out of the open house share shop was that you write in different ink. Okay, you're going to write all your leads in one color, yes, and you're only going to put 2 or maybe 3. You're only going to, this one has more than that, but it's because I've rewritten on this one. But when I start a new page, your goal is to only put 2 or 3 leads per page. But I got to think about when I was most effective is when I had 2 or 3 leads per page and left space in between that you can write your notes on. And you're going to write your notes in different color. Because your job is to sit there, or my job was always, I felt like I needed to end my day by prioritizing what I need to do tomorrow. So that's what I would do every night, is end my day and just comb back through my notebook and look at it, and I'd have it written in different color ink. That way it stands off the page to you. Because if it's blue ink everywhere, all you see is ink, and your mind is tired, your body is tired, you just really don't think you can do anymore. But you can if it's just easily seen. Does that make sense? And then I'll make a short list off of that. Yeah, if we've got to sell first. Occasionally I just send them an email for no odd reason. I listed a home on Evans Prairie recently, and I had my personal clients come in and write an offer on it because they saw my half-a-page ad, which I think is very important, that goes out every Saturday. They saw it in the paper, but I sent him an email that just said, "Good morning." It said nothing else. That was it. I was just thinking about them that morning. Follow your gut instinct. They came looking for me in my open house that day. 2 days later, they called me over to list their home. Yeah, so just stay in contact, a simple little email. I sent one simple little email of an ivy that hit this past week. The next morning she emailed me back and she says, will a Bridgeport and a Boxwood fit on these 3 home sites? Because we talked about home sites, and I thought, oh, they're looking at home sites. And so I answered her back on that. But those emails is my primary contact, and following up with a phone call too. So when I do get that's a good segue into when I do get someone's email address, and we're talking about the upgrades in their home, what they're looking for in a new home, I ask for their email address, and then I always ask, what is the best number to contact you back at? Because I'm going to put this together, and then I'm going to give you a call tomorrow or the next day so we can talk about, give you a little bit of time to look at it so we can talk about the next steps. You need to fully define the next steps and be very assertive in front of them. You're not necessarily asking for permission to do things. You're taking the lead role. As a buyer, if I'm buying something and I don't know that much about it, I want somebody to take the lead role and do it for me. You tell me what I need to do. I don't know what I need to do. You tell me the steps. You tell me what we need to do. This is what we want, but you tell me how we're going to put it together, because that's our jobs. Does that make sense? Yeah. So your job is to simplify the process for them. Get them used to your emails, get them used to your phone calls, and get them used to your text. The more you get them used to your emails, the less they go to the website. The less open houses they'll go out in without mentioning your name. Does that make sense? Because they'll mention your name. Oh, we're working with, I went out to do a CMA this week, and her email back to me when I sent her the information, she says, I'm going to go out and be looking at some open houses and showcases, but I'm going to let everybody know I'm working with you. Yeah, that was her email back. Does that make sense? So your job is to simplify the process for them. Determine a system that works for you. Notebook's not for everybody, but that works for me. In the back of my notebook, I play fill in the blank game. What is the fill in the, I've got to play games to make things work for me. It's called fill in the blank game. I wrote out in the back of my notebook, let's take January, February, March, and April for instance. I put January at the top, I put February beside it, and then underneath it I start March and April. I leave more room for March and April because you're meeting people in January. You're beginning to sell them possibly a little bit in February, but you're really selling them in March and April. My job is to put a name on that blank line. I mean, it works for me. My job is to fill those blank lines. I thought, oh, there's some empty spots there. So it's simple, but it's kind of like, but it works. So it's like, wow, I need to fill up that. But the date of their closing is back there too. So I constantly refer back to that back page where I've got the months written out. And another agent, she said her closings was just everywhere. She knew she had sold several for the month of July, but until she did her notebook, she didn't know how many she had. And that just gave her more energy once she figured out what she had. You know, so do what works for you. Figure out what a system that works for you best. But the notebook has always worked for me. And like I said, end your day by prioritizing what you need to do first tomorrow. Make your list. It's your must-do list, not your to-do list. We all have to-do lists. What happens to those? It's your must-do list. What must I take care of today to help me reach my goal? Now you keep your goals in front of you, because if you don't keep your purpose and your goal in front of you, you're just kind of just going out there, and your day is running you, you're not running it. Talking about goals. How do you set your goals for the year? So let's talk about number goals, for instance, right quick. I put this up here the other day. And I was just going off January, February, March, and April. So that is 16 weeks, guys. If I can keep my energy up for 16 weeks as my mindset, I've got my whole year set. The pressure is off. So, yes, that's the way I look at this. So if you've got 16 weeks in this time frame here, and you host 5 open houses and showcases a week, and your goal was to take out 2 quality leads out of each. How many leads do you have? Pretty simple math. 5 equals 10. So we've got 10 in that week, and we have 16 weeks. How many people do we have to work with now?
160.
Wow, that's just in 4 months. That's not including all the other 4 months and 4 months. I'll break things down in quarters. So I have 160 people right here in my notebooks, just out of open house and showcases. That does not also include rotation. A lot of people do very well on rotation. That does not include lifestyle preview guests. It doesn't include phone duty, Spanish Springs. It doesn't include any of that. But just out of that right there, if my goal was only 2 leads, and if I could sell 4 homes per month times 4 months, that's 16 homes. The next 4 months, 16 homes. The next 4 months, 16 homes. How many homes do I have? I have 48 homes. How did Angela set her goals? Well, to me, with my mindset, which is veers towards extremist, we all know that. With my mindset, I always thought that was too low of a goal for me, because in 2013, I did 60 plus personal sales. 2014, I wanted to exceed that. So I wanted to exceed that. I set a goal for 70 because I accomplished 60, and I did 80 plus. 2015, being the extremist that I am, I had to exceed that. And in my weird sort of way, I had to exceed that, and I did 80 plus again. So how did I set my goals? I have to have 7 homes a month to reach my goals. So we've got 160 people to work with just from 2 leads per 5 open house and showcase in just 4 months to follow back up with and to get these people back here in the summertime. So, but I did a lot of Focus January by quarters. So everybody does it differently. How does it work for you to set your goals? What kind of goals do you set and how are you setting them?
I kind of do the same thing. I set a long term, and then I break that down into what do I have to do monthly or weekly to get to that. And then as the months go by, you know, like last year, midway through the year, my long-term goal changed. I actually moved it up a little bit more because I was surpassing it already at halfway.
So your goal was too small then?
Correct.
Yep.
I mean, I think you look at it from that angle. You know, goals are meant to be changed, just like yours was, you know.
Exactly. And it starts with your purpose. Why am I doing this? That's what you've got to ask yourself. Everything goes right back to your purpose, guys. Why am I doing this? Because if you keep that in front of you at all times, I keep my purpose in front of me at all times. They're not only on my vision board above my vision board. My children's pictures are all over that. They're on my screensaver. The things I'm trying to work towards even in the future have always stayed in front of me. They weren't just right here. There's reminders all over my house and all over my phone. There's reminders everywhere of my vision and my purpose. But sometimes your vision and your purpose may be just survival mode, guys. You may be in a point in life that you just need to make some income. There's nothing wrong with survival mode being your purpose and your goal being paying my bills. You know, do what motivates you. Everybody has a different goal and a different purpose, but keep that in front of and you will be more successful in your open house and showcases. And get outside your comfort zone. Is it comfortable asking those open-ended questions continuously? Because what are we fearful of? Rejection. I learned a long time ago to overcome that. And because when I walk into my open house and showcase, I look at it, it's like my time is very valuable. Very valuable. And it comes at a high price tag. And you have to protect your time. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more starting tomorrow, time management. And tomorrow's class I have titled, I think, Daily Habits That Lead to Better Results. And I think it's going to be a good class, guys. You know, so what can I do to start new habits? Not only just getting outside my comfort zone and setting my goals and looking at my purpose. How can I learn something new? You know, if I'm happy with the success level I'm at right now, or kind of content, but I know I can do better and I would like to do better, I think you would want to come to this class. I think that we can all share a lot, and I learned a lot just putting it together, just about what my day looks like and what I do on a regular basis. Lenny said something months ago. I still laugh about it. I want to shadow you for 24 hours. I thought, you have got to be insane.
Yeah, I came here and said, I got permission from my wife.
I want to know what a typical day looks like for
I want to
you.
see what you do all night. You know, I want to see how you do what you do.
Does your brain ever stop? You know what? But we're going to talk about this tomorrow. But I have a lot of times, and I tried it again this weekend. I'm always doing these silly little tests. If I'm working on a task, and I would work on the task a lot better if I set a timer. But yet I'm going to set a timer. Can I complete the task and turn out the same quality results and beat the clock? That sounds silly, it sounds crazy, but if we've got all the time in the world, are we going to take all the time in the world to do that? We are. You're going to turn a 20-minute task into an hour task. But if you figure out something that works for you just to get it knocked out and get it over with, do another little thing. I mentioned this last summer. If I was going to take off every day at 1 o'clock, what would I get done between the time I get up and noon, so that by noon I'm starting to wrap it up and get out of here? You'll get a lot more done. If you look at it like that, it's like, wow, I would like the afternoon off. So what do I need to do? What is my first task of the day I need to do? What do I need to prioritize first? And so that I've got these things that are done on my must-do list, not my to-do list. Another thing that I think is important on top of ending your day, prioritizing your morning and starting those tasks first, is creating a personal bio. If you've not done this, they do read this and they bring it back to you as well. and they mention it when you're in their homes or you're showing other properties. Creating a personal bio. I hand this out to clients in open house and showcases. I don't have a display up there like Lenny, and maybe I should put a little bit more out there than what I do. But I did create a personal bio, and it goes in my personalized folder because I've engaged with these people, I've gotten their contact information, and I put it in here. I put it in here with a cost of living sheet because, again, I've talked about the facts of how to buy a home in the villages and costs that they could incur in doing that. But then I also put, if I'm in a designer home, I don't necessarily have the floor plans out, but I would pack 5 of these per day in my briefcase, and I'd keep them in there. And that was a morning ritual I did all winter long. So I'd keep them in my briefcase, 5 per day. And one couple, because how many minutes do you think you have to make a good impression to people, with people when you're... Exactly. I remember one in particular I was out on Bevel, as a matter of fact. It was a lilac, and it was furnished. Ted and Bonnie Bell, I'll never forget them. They just had a great spirit, but there was probably 25 people in there at the same time. I said, guys, I know it's a little crazy in here right now, but take this with you and look me up at another open house. I hope to see you again soon. We made some small talk. I don't remember what it was. 3 days later, they had this with them, and they brought it back into that open house. I was able to reserve them a home site and build them a home. So do whatever works, guys. Think about those open-ended questions. Go out there, get outside your comfort zone, and become more productive, or get more out of your open houses than what you're getting now if you're not satisfied with your results. I think we're pretty much wrapping it up.
Thank you very much.